want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
We are the Mad Men of Masculinity.
Your home for healthy masculinity. We're just real men having real conversations for you. Good day, Mad Men Mafia.
Yo, I am Kirk M. Samuels.
And I am Jason B. Kendrick.
And we are the Mad Men of Masculinity.
That's right. We're just real men having real conversations for you.
For you, real conversations. You can't handle the truth. As we are recording this, we always say we don't know if we stream the recording or record the streaming, but in any case, as we do this on this particular day of the year, this is the week that we celebrate. At least by the time we get to Thursday, we celebrate a holiday that's uniquely American, but not. But in what we call in America, Thanksgiving, my favorite holiday.
Why is it your favorite holiday? Let's have a little Kirk M. Samuels interview. Why is it your favorite holiday, sir?
I don't know.
The mic.
That's a good question. I don't know. I just enjoy the holiday, man. I enjoy. Well, first of all, fall is my favorite season. But excuse me. Thanksgiving is kind of when we get together, and and it's really just about comes down to one word, and that one word is gratitude. I love the idea of people getting together, just spending some time together, and just being thankful. And man, that's a good mentality to have. I think the more we focus on being thankful, the more the world doesn't seem like such a bad place.
So it's not nothing to do about the corn pudding or the turkey or the stuffing, nothing like that. It's just gratitude.
Well, when you add all that in there, I like doing the turkey, and I like my Aunt Doula's corn pudding. You know what I'm saying? And I will never, or I haven't anyway to this point, given the recipe to anybody for Aunt Doula's corn pudding. But putting that together, man, and just getting all the food, man. It just brings back the memories. Back when there used to be a kid table, and it used to be over at the kid table, and just having all the food and the family and all those kinds of things around, man. I just love it.
I miss the kid table, man. That was the most fun when you was a kid and being told to y'all get over there and be quiet and behave yourselves, and you couldn't help but not behave yourselves and getting in trouble. But I mean, yeah, the food, I mean, the family gathering, it's such a great time of year to come together, to remind yourself to be grateful. I mean, gratitude is I think it's the spice of life. It's the secret to happiness. It's one of those things that we get away from so much the rest of the year that it's nice to have the reminder. I just wish we didn't need the reminder. I wish we could keep that gratitude going all year long and keep that mindset going of gratitude and of looking around and just being like, I'm indoors. I got food in the fridge. I got money in the bank. I got friends. I got loved ones. I have hobbies. I have, I live in a gorgeous place. I mean, we live in Colorado. It doesn't get much better than this. So, just have a little bit of gratitude goes a long way. And then, I mean, scientifically, if you want to get weird and get scientific about it, the reticular activating system focuses on what you believe in and what you need. And if you believe in gratitude, you believe in lovely things and being grateful, then you see more things to be grateful for. You see more things to have gratitude for. And so it just changes your whole perspective. So if you a sourpuss, if you don't like the holidays because you can't seem to find anything grateful for, maybe, start with something small, dig yourself out of that depression hole and find something small to be grateful for. Then let that build on something else and, get some people around you. Have something to fill your heart with gratitude this year. And then hopefully not just for Thanksgiving, but for the rest of the year coming up.
Yeah. I'm going to quote one of my good friends in life. Man, he says this all the time. Old Pastor Tom Roth. He says it's hard to have. His PT says it's hard to have a bad day when you have a thankful heart. And
Mm.
just to be able to appreciate, I mean, let's be real. But most of the time, most of us can list off some stuff that could be better, like in life, right?
Hmm.
I mean, I wish this. I wish my check engine light wasn't on in my car. I wish, the IRS wasn't after me. I wish my back didn't hurt. I wish, whatever. I didn't have this hangnail or whatever it is in life. I wish I wasn't single. I wish I was single. I wish I had kids. I wish I didn't have kids. I mean, all the stuff you can wish for in life that you may not have, you can come up with that. But to be able to list like things that you do have, things that could be worse. I like to frame stuff in life like, man, somebody always has it worse than me. Somebody today wishes they had my problems. And quite honestly, there might be a day in the future where I wish I had my problems now as opposed to the
Yeah.
problems I'm going to have at some point in the future. Right. I mean, we're going to have a bad day at some point in the future, a really bad day. And,
Yeah.
so we should appreciate now the things that we have, even some of the problems that we have.
Yeah, I think it's something, and we just had the stages of life for men episode. And I think that's something that we as men especially need to like focus on is that be grateful for the stage you're in. I think so many of us still think we should be in our teens and 20s and still should be able to do the things and should have the girl in the car and the abilities and all that stuff. But I mean, if you're aware and grateful for where the stage in life you're at. I mean, like we were just talking about your son and your daughter and their kids and you being a grandfather now. I mean, being grateful that you're at that stage, you made it that far, and to be aware of what stage of life you're in and to have gratitude for that, I think is just a secret to like daily happiness. Just be like, hey, I'm grateful I'm here now. I made it this far. Like so many of us, I mean, yeah, we get it all. Social media and Hollywood and marketing is like, oh, you're old if you're 30. Oh, please. You barely get out of your diapers when you're 30 when it really comes down to it. But they're just trying to tell us that we're too old for this or too old for that. But be grateful that you made it that far. Be grateful that your name's not already on a tombstone. And what that look, maybe that right now we're in the dash. There's that beginning date, then there's the end date. Right now we're in the dash. Be grateful you're still in the dash. You don't have that end date already. And know what stage you're in and be grateful for that. I think there's so many of us, like you were saying, that just aren't grateful for where we're at or what we have, and we're still trying to keep up with the Joneses. We're still trying to wish we were where we used to be instead of being grateful we are where we are at and taking a moment and being present and say, you know what, I woke up today. I got food in the fridge. I got a roof over my head. I got heat. I'm not living on the street. I'm not somewhere else that's war torn or this or that. There's so many things to be grateful for, but a lot of times it's just being happy where you're at is the secret to finding that gratitude each and every day.
Yeah. Over the past couple of years, we've had some health challenges. I'll say in our home, in our household. Um, with my wife and just some back issues, knee issues, that kind of stuff, and it has not been fun. It has been a challenge. But then it kind of came to head today. I don't know. I was looking up something, and my social media feed came up, and on the timeline, there was somebody I knew from high school, one of my old high school friends, was actually at the cemetery today. It was her
Mm,
her former deceased husband's birthday,
mm,
and so she was at the cemetery with, I don't know if it was like grandkids or kids, I'm not sure, but either way, she was going there to celebrate or to honor him on his birthday. And that was just an eye opener of like, wow, man, of all the troubles that we've had over the past year. And if I'm not mistaken, just from memory, I think he might have passed away sometime in this last year. I think this might be like his first birthday since he passed away or something,
mm.
I think. But in any case, I think about like, man, the past year or two, that I've had or that we've had. And I'm like, I'm thankful that we are in this situation and not in that situation.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, being thankful that you got problems. I mean, the only way nowadays, or that I know of, to not have any problems is to be 6 feet under or to be out of the body. So, the fact that you got problems means you're still kicking, you're still breathing, you're still above ground. So be thankful to that point that, you have the problems you have, because you could have others, you could have worse problems. That loved one of yours could not be there, even though it may be a struggle, or maybe they have health issues like, you're dealing with, but at least they're still there. It could be you could be sitting there having a celebration or a memorial at somebody's gravesite and not have the opportunity to enjoy those problems. So, I mean, being grateful even for those little things. I think sometimes having gratitude for the problems that we have is a great way to build a loving life and a life filled with gratitude. Because, it could be worse. Believe me, it could be worse. And for a lot of us here in the States, in the West, that think it's all bad because we don't have the Jag, we don't have the, the Rollie or the Louis Vuitton purse or whatever it is we see on social media that we think is all that. You still doing pretty good. There's other places in the world not doing so good. I mean, we're getting ready to eat a whole bunch of food and have a whole bunch of leftovers. And for most of us, that's just a fact of life. And we should be very grateful for that, because a lot of folks that would literally kill to have the abundance that we have in the West.
I mean, and that's actually the foundation of the holiday, of the fact that, man, we made it through, a tough year. We made it through a tough season. And now we come together and we kind of celebrate the harvest. We celebrate what we do have, and we take a moment out or a day out or whatever, at least, recognize that. And so, man, as much as I love the turkey, and I love all the fixings and all the trimmings and all that kind of stuff, man, for me, like I said, the holiday, man, it's more than just that. I mean, I'm looking forward to doing some cooking here over the next couple of days, having the house smelling good and all of that. But I'm looking forward to just being able to just pause and just be still and be quiet for a minute amongst other friends and family, and just kind of reflect on something that to be thankful for. So yeah, man. So we'll get into that. I'd like to get into maybe some of the things in our culture that steal our gratitude, that steal our Thanksgiving, and just some of the comparisons and all that kind of stuff. And so maybe we'll dig into that when we get back from this break. What do you think?
Sounds good to me.
Boom. We'll be right back. Mad Men of Masculinity on KLDC. Boom.
Yeah, we can get into some of that. We got to highlight the shadow to bring it to light.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right, I'm lubricated. Let's go.
Oh, let me eat this ice real quick.
Why you be eating ice on the radio, man? Nobody want to be hearing you eat ice on the radio, man.
I know. That's why I do it in between.
It's just selfish.
All right.
Selfish.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's do it.
Let me see here. And we're back.
Yes, we're back.
Your boys are back. Mad Men of Masculinity on KLDC, 1220 AM in the Mile High City, on the interwebs, everywhere. All at your boys. If it's your first time here, drop in the comments. Drop in the comments where you're from, where you live. I love to see random comments come through, and see who's out there. We never know whose timeline these things pop up on. And if you're listening on a podcast platform, whatever, send us some feedback. Let us know, man. Check us out on YouTube. Check us out on Facebook. All of the above, man.
Yeah.
All of the above.
Yeah, we're worldwide now. We got international fans. We got local fans. We're everywhere. So make sure you let us know where you're at. We'll show you some love. Show us some love. And speaking of showing some love, we're talking about this time of year here in the States. A little bit of Thanksgiving week, a little bit of thankfulness, a little bit of gratitude. I mean, I wish we had it all year round, but it's really nice to have this moment to stop, to reflect, to bring up something to be grateful for, and to share that with your loved ones and those around you. And so sometimes we got to highlight the shadow to see how much we really need to be grateful for. So I know you wanted to bring up some of those things. What was it you were thinking about, sir?
Well, just a couple things. Just a couple things off the top. In our culture, in our society, especially in America, man, in America, even though we have I think one of the things that steals our Thanksgiving, that steals our thanks, is the fact that we have so much. We got so much that it's hard to appreciate what we do have. Because a lot of times when you have so much, you get caught up in the next. You get caught up in the looking for the bigger, better kind of thing. I got a great job and man, but I want that next one. I got a great whatever, a great car, and man, but you pull up to the light and there's the big silver trash can. The Cybertruck next to you, and somebody might be like, "Ooh, I want one of them," or whatever. But that's one of the things that makes it hard in America anyway to be thankful because I think we just have, I think we have so much, man. I think we have too much, as a matter of fact, as a culture that it's hard for us to appreciate any one thing or just even any one moment.
Yeah, I think it's a very valid point because you look at a lot of us who have more than enough, but we're so focused on the next thing. And they look at those that don't have enough and how much more eager and willing they are to share what they do have because they know what it's like not to have. And so they really embody that nature of giving. We talk about Thanksgiving. And some folks, you see some folks, they'll go to the soup kitchen, they'll go hand out food for Thanksgiving, they'll go give back. But it was really those people they're giving back to that can teach a lot of us a lot of things because they know how to share. As soon as they get something, they want to share it with somebody else because they know what it's like not to have. And I think for a lot of us, it would be good to honor and understand how much we do have by sharing more because most of us have way more than we need. I mean, if you would go camping, go on vacation, go someplace where you don't need a cell phone, a computer, a job, just go someplace away and realize all you need really are the clothes on your back and some food each day, and you can get back into a more subsistence level. It might show you how grateful you ought to be compared to how grateful you have been for what you do have, because most of us are living in a lap of luxury compared to how a lot of the rest of the world are living. And without having that awareness of how good we have it, sometimes we get, we get thankless. We don't realize exactly how good we got it. And I think without a little bit of that reflective, a little bit of that dichotomy, we don't understand just how grateful we ought to be.
I think one of the most profound things I've done in my life, and I recommend it for everybody, basically, especially everybody in America, is to get outside of America, to go another part of the world and to see outside of the matrix kind of thing. And I got a chance, I think it was back in 2014, I believe, to go on a mission trip to Rwanda. And man, that just absolutely blew me away. I've been, and when I say get outside of America, I'm not talking about going to the Bahamas or going to Mexico to a resort or going on a cruise. Those kind of things are great. But I'm talking about seeing the rest of the world. They call it the quote unquote third world, but really only a third of the world lives like us, right? I mean, most of the world lives on $1 a day kind of thing. And so, when I got a chance to go to Rwanda and got to see, I mean, man, just like, wow. Those folks just on a day-to-day basis, the folks out in the villages, I mean, not even talking about, the main cities. But out in the small villages and small towns, they grow what they eat outside their front door, right? I mean, they they need that cow or that goat for the milk. I mean, and the chicken for the eggs, kind of thing. They don't just, to them a chicken ain't like an 8-piece in a box. I mean, to them a chicken is like long-term sustenance kind of thing, right? I mean, and then just to see their level of thankfulness and their level of joy. They had more sense of joy than we did. They appreciated the small things. I mean, they are, they just had a whole sense of reality that was just it really took me by surprise, man, at how much I take for granted. Like if you think about it, we can pretty much we can pretty much eat anything we want any time of the day, 24 hours a day. I mean, and for the most part, we can have it delivered to our house. Like we don't even have to. I mean, our grocery stores don't even have doors, half of them. I mean, can you imagine somebody coming from another country and going into a Costco, right? I mean, you know what the conveniences that we have, man. And I realized from that moment on, I could never complain at a restaurant again about my food being a little bit to this or a little bit to that. But man, just the way they appreciate it, and then their backstory of the country of going through the genocide and all those kinds of things. They knew hardship. Everybody knew hardship there. We don't know hardship here, and so we just kind of take it all for granted. But yeah, just the idea of like, man, I can eat anything I want at any time. When I got back from that trip, you know, man, I got in my shower, which the shower I had at the time had like 15 settings, and I just cried in my shower because the only thing I can think of was hurry up getting home and getting back into my shower with my hot water, you know, and my 15 shower settings. I mean, it was an eye opener.
Yeah, I think it's something that every American should do because we get jaded, we get complacent, we get entitled, we don't realize how good we have it, and then it's the next new toy, the next shiny thing, the next iPhone, this next thing, and we don't realize how little those things actually bring us joy, and we've lost a lot of that foundational joy of just being alive. Where I know I've been to the Andes, I've been trips to Peru where they grow their own corn, they make their own clothes out of alpaca fur, and these are some of the most joyous, happy people because they know what it takes to survive. They know what true suffering is, and so to have their huts and to have their clothes and to have their food and be able to feed their kids and to sit with their families, like one of the coolest things to see is, especially in the Andes, is little ladies walk around like picking up the potatoes out of the ground with the babies and the little backpacks on their back because the babies stay with the moms almost 24/7. There's no separation anxiety. There's none of sleeping in a crib. Like the families stay together and they have so much more of a sense of family. Whereas we have all the jokes here in the West about, oh, my family's coming over Thanksgiving. Oh, here we go. There's gonna be that one uncle. There's gonna be the one aunt. Oh, there's my sibling I can't stand. But they have this sense of family, this sense of oneness, this sense of togetherness that we have lost a lot. So it's, the nuclear family where we don't stay with our families anymore. We move away. We all have our own houses. We have our own stuff. And then we get used to our own little way of doing things. And we don't know how to join together like we used to. We don't know how to have that family unit like we used to. And I think a lot of it is just this, keeping up with the Joneses and what's the new shiny thing. And I got to have all my stuff. Well, there's plenty of jokes about having all your stuff and taking some of your stuff with you so that you get your stuff with you. But you don't need all that stuff. I think the minimalist movement and watching a lot of these guys that are doing the minimalist movement where they, are traveling the world, seeing all these amazing things and places and people because they have less. And so they're lighter, they're freer. I think many of us would really benefit from going to another country and seeing how not free we really are with all of our stuff because the things you own begin to own you.
We really don't, our country, we don't know poverty. We don't know poor. Like the poor people, homeless people in our country, as unfortunate and sad and not trying to demean anybody in that situation or anything like that. But when you go to another country, like some of these other countries, that I mentioned, or man, I remember the first time I ever went to Haiti. I mean, and this was like back in the 90s. I mean, man, when you go see that, like how really poor is. I mean, man, I'm telling you, it is an eye opener as to, what is poor and where. Like when one of us, most of us say, man, I'm broke. It's like, yeah, okay,
Until
you
Wednesday.
broke, you got a place to live. Yeah, right, till my next payday kind of thing. But man, you go to some other places in the world, man, and you see some real poverty, man. And like I said, it puts things in perspective. And for me, when I did that thing, man, that I had a whole new sense of gratitude for my life and just thinking like I did not have any control over where I was born or anything. Had I been born the same year in Rwanda, I'd have been part of the genocide. But just the reality of all that, man, it's a game changer to go to another place and to see how bad things really are in terms of our level of gratitude here.
Yeah, our level of gratitude in this country really needs a uptick. We need to put some fertilizer on. I think that's what I was trying to think of. We need to put some fertilizer on our gratitude plant and some water and some sunshine and grow that thing up, because our gratitude is lacking. And I think not having the experience of other countries, not having the experience of actually lacking. I mean, I had an experience the other day where, in a lot of the ski resorts, we have all these folks who come out here and spend thousands of dollars to go skiing and stuff, and a lot of locals who spend their $1,000 to get their ski pass and come out here all the time. And then, I mean, like anything else, the town's developing and things are not as cheap as they used to be, and the free parking is shrinking. And I had some lady just all upset that the free parking had moved and it was shrinking. So I'm like, you still got free parking, lady. There are a lot of places that ain't nothing free. So, be grateful for what you still have and shine a little light on your gratitude plan so it will grow. And when we get back from this break, we're going to dig into more of how you can fertilize your gratitude plan. So we're the Mad Men of Masculinity. You're listening to us on KLDC, and we'll be right back.
Boom, man! That was the biggest eye opener for me, man. When I went, I realized how much I take for granted, like how much in life I just take for granted. I mean, the idea of entertainment, like the idea of vacation, the idea of want, like or need anyway. We don't need for much. We want a lot of things here, but we don't need much in our culture.
Yeah.
And it's when you don't need anything, man, it's hard to be thankful.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and it's just a entitlement of want and entitlement of having, where there's just, you've never been without, so you don't know what it's like to be grateful for what you have. So I think a lot of folks would benefit, especially in the West, of like, I know growing up in the South a lot, you got guys that haven't left the county, much less the state. They talk about America's greatest place on the planet, and you don't like it, leave it, and da da da. It's like, have you been anywhere else? You don't even know. What are you talking about? What do you want to talk about this third segment?
Your boys are back.
Yes, we're back.
Man, we've been continuing this whole dialogue even during our break here, man, of just just how much we can take things for granted in our culture, how much our stuff gets in our way. Maybe we have so much stuff that it piles up in front of us and it blocks us from seeing, beyond our stuff and beyond what we have and beyond our life and lifestyles and all this other kind of stuff. And maybe we got so many things in our way that we can't see our way to gratitude. We can't see our way to thankfulness. Maybe that's a cultural thing.
It could be. I mean, there's a great fable that just popped in my head that is kind of funny, but there's a guy who lives with his family in this small little hut, and his, I think, in-laws or something, they lost their house. They were having to come to move in with them, and he was just complaining about the space loss, And so he goes to the wise man, the elder, and he's like, "Hey, so-and-so, like, I can't believe I'm losing all this space, and I got my in-laws. We don't have that much, and this and that." And the guy's like, "Well, do you have some chickens?" He's like, "Yeah, I got chickens." "Well, bring your chickens in the house." Like, okay, I don't know how that's going to help, but all right. So he does that, and then a week or so, a month later, he comes back to the wise man. He's like, "It's crazy. The chickens are everywhere. There's bird poop everywhere, and all this stuff." And he's like, "Oh, okay. Do you have pigs?" "Well, yeah. Well, bring your pigs into the house." So he brings his pigs in the house, and then a week later, he comes back. The guy's just, "I can't believe how busy. There's just no space. There's animals everywhere, and it's just crazy." Like, "Oh, you got goats?" "Yeah. Well, bring your goats in the house too." He does that. A week later, he's like, we can't stand it. There's just goats and chickens and feathers and all this stuff everywhere, and all the people." And he's like, "Oh, okay. Take the animals out of the house." Then he takes the animals out of the house. All of a sudden, it's got all this space. Like, "Oh, this is amazing." The wise man's like, "Yeah, because you thought having more people in the house was going to be a burden. You thought having less space was going to be a burden, but you weren't looking at it correctly. You had enough space for you, your in-laws, the chickens, the pigs, the goats. You had plenty of space. You just weren't seeing it correctly. And for a lot of us, I think it's that same sort of entitlement that we're just not seeing how entitled we are. We're not seeing how rich we are. We're not seeing how blessed we are and how grateful we ought to be, because that's all we're used to. We haven't changed up our perspective enough to see, oh, I have way more than enough. And I should be extremely grateful.
And part of that is, let's be honest, part of that is social media. Part of that is the idea that, I get to see other people's curated lives, and I get to see the best parts of their life that they want to show. And when they show the best parts of their life, it prompts me, it almost forces me to focus on the worst parts of mine, what I don't have. Somebody, a couple goes on a cruise, and for the next week, all day, every day, you got pictures of them, how great my life is on my cruise and all those kinds of things. And you know and and then I sit back, or we sit back, and we think, man, when's the last time I've been on a cruise? Man, I ain't been on a cruise in a long time. Man, I wish I could be in the sun. Man, what am I doing wrong? What I don't have, and how am I failing? How am I falling short? Because I'm not on a cruise like they are on a cruise. And look at their lives, look at their kids, and their kids are doing great things and this and that. And look at them in the gym, and ooh, I mean, et cetera, et cetera. But we spend a lot of time uh forced to be comparing ourselves to other people.
Yeah.
Honestly, social media has a lot to do with that.
Yeah, I think something that we need to really like push, and especially now because people are starting to get jaded with social media, which is a good thing. They're starting to realize that all that's fake. It's all curated. And it just brings up the question, like, what if you had a life you didn't need a vacation from? What about all those people who are completely happy and don't have to put all their stuff all over social media? I mean, we know people specifically who nobody knew they were even engaged until the wedding pictures popped up, because you got to share things. We know people who are living their lives plenty happy, and you never know anything about it because they don't post on social media. I think for a lot of us, it's time to get back to living life and creating a life that we don't need vacation from, creating a life we don't need to project or curate, and just having a life of joy, having a life of gratitude, having a life that's fun and loving and full of experience, instead of feeling like we need to portray a certain thing on social media, or feeling like we got to keep up with Joneses, or feeling like we got to be some sort of certain way, or portray a certain thing online. Go live your life. Who cares what anybody else thinks? And for a lot of those people who don't post online, they would have a lot more to teach those who are posting online. Because, yeah, it's human nature. You see somebody posting these great pictures, but you're not thinking, what are they doing when they're not posting those pictures? How many times have you seen somebody posting a picture, then you find out their life don't look anything like that? So don't trust what you see on social media. Don't trust what you see out there. And then ask yourself, like, why do they got to post so much? Who are they trying to impress? Who are they trying to prove this to? Us or them? They're trying to prove it to themselves that maybe they have this life that they don't really have, or they're trying to make it look a certain way so they can pretend everything's okay, when the happiest people probably aren't even posting on social media. They're just living their life and having a life that is so wonderful they don't have to take a vacation from it because they're loving life.
Well, I don't think you can be truly thankful. I don't think you can have true gratitude until you learn how to be present, and be present in a moment where right now is enough. Like right now, this moment, this space is enough. Like I can appreciate this thing, and and so therefore, when I am on vacation, I'm here. Like I'm on vacation. I'm on this trip. I'm on whatever. But I'm present, and I'm here, and I'm appreciating this thing. I'm not, my intent is not to broadcast to the world anything, because I'm right here. I'm right now. And in order to be thankful, in order to be in a gratitude state of mind or state of heart, you gotta be. I mean, that's why they call it the present, because it's a gift, right? And if you want to be thankful, be thankful for that present. Be thankful for the gift of the of being present. And that's the other thing. The other reason why I like Thanksgiving, man, because generally speaking, you're present and you're in each other's presence. Most people, you're in each other's presence for some time, and especially if you go somewhere where you get together and have a meal or something like that, and you're just being present, man. And and then you gotta take a moment and just be here now. I mean that is profound, but that's the true pathway to being thankful. That's the road to gratitude right there.
Yeah, there's there's mindful and then there's mindful. And I think with the advent of so much meditation and so much mental practices and so much mental health, especially here in the West, being present is being mindful. You're actually looking at the nature. You're looking at the moon and the sun. You're looking at the mountains and the trees. Or you have mindful or full mind. You're thinking about all these other things. You need distractions to get you away from your own mind, your own self. And there's been such an uptick. It's such a push towards more mindfulness and more meditation to slow us down. Because everything here in the West, especially here in the US, is like go, 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 do, do, do. There's even a thing in the late 80s and 90s where it was just like, I didn't even sleep last night. I've been out up all night working. I'm busting my butt. And I'm doing all these things. And it's like, well, what about you? What about being present? What about being in a moment? What about having a moment to take a breath, to be grateful that you can breathe, to be grateful that you have this moment to stop for a second? So many of us are so go, go, go that we can't even sit alone with ourselves. I know one of the personal development things I did was a men's retreat, and we did this like 48-hour solo where you got a 10 by 10 square and a tent and some granola, and you were by yourself. You had a journal, you could write your thoughts down. And for some guys, that was hell. They could not sit by themselves without something to distract them for 48 hours. I know for me, I got settled in, and by that 48 hours, I was mad they were coming to get me because I finally got back into this like rhythm with nature, rhythm with myself. I felt like, wow, of course it did take me off because it made me realize that a lot of things I thought I wanted, these goals, these things I, was trying to achieve, I wasn't achieving them because I wanted them. I was achieving because I thought it was going to get me something or make me feel a certain way or going to impress this person or that person. So I had that kind of epiphany. But for so many of us, it's so hard just to be with ourselves. And I think to your point, being present is such a gift that I think for many guys, there's the book, The 3 Day Effect. Being in nature for 3 whole days without cell phones, without internet, without a laptop or any distractions will help you reset your neurobiology, help you reset your circadian rhythms, help you reset just with Mother Nature and the Schumann resonance. When we're in cities, surrounded by Wi-Fi and electromagnetic fields, and there's just constant lights and screens and everything in our faces, we lose our natural rhythms and we'll lose that connection with ourselves. I think so many of us need to find that connection with ourselves, and then we'll find that much more gratitude, that much more presence, that much more just happiness in day-to-day things, the small things like you're talking about that they emulate and that they love and that they are passionate about in some of these quote unquote third world countries. I think they've got it more right than we do in a lot of different ways.
Yeah. And being able to be present so that you can be thankful, so that you can have gratitude, an attitude of gratitude. And mixed in with all of that is being able to be still and realize like, man, like there's a blessing in the moment, and I mean, just a moment, just a snapshot in history, just like this moment right here, right now, will never exist again. Right. I mean, and you can find the whole universe in a moment when you're able to be still and be present. And when you're able to do that, then you can almost get in touch and into, and a lot of this is, it can get really, really out there, rainbows and unicorns kind of stuff. But, think about sitting in lotus position on top of a mountain for a month kind of thing. But there's something to that, man. But you do have to start somewhere. And there's something to the fact that, we're not happy in our country. And we're not happy because we're not thankful. We're not thankful. We don't have a sense of gratitude in our country. And it's up to us as men to bring that and make sure that's a priority in our households and in our families and just in our own lives, man. Just being able to be present, to be here now, and to not be outside of the moment with all the chaos in life, man, and just be thankful, man. And so I don't know, maybe after this break, man, we can get just some tips on something on how
Yeah.
to be thankful.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Something
go pet
like
my
that. I don't
I'm gonna go feed my pet unicorn real quick, and then we'll get back after this break.
know. All right. Sounds good. Madman of Masculinity on KLDC. We'll be right back. Go pet your pet unicorn.
I gotta feed him, man. I don't want putting holes in the
Yeah.
wall again. I didn't feed him.
I hear you. I hear you.
All right, tips
All
and
right, I'm
tricks.
ready. If you're ready.
Grateful heart. Let's do it.
Yeah. All right. Turn my joint back on here. All right, here we go. We're back.
Yes, we're back.
Your boys are back. We thankful. I'm thankful, man. I'm thankful for so many things. I think, you know, probably one of the most direct ways to be thankful is to just literally spend a moment and list out things that you're thankful for.
Yeah.
If you set a timer on your watch for 3 minutes, and this is probably a great date night routine, as a matter of fact, or just by yourself. But if you were to set a timer for 3 minutes and just say, you know what, I'm just going to list out anything and everything that I'm thankful for in this moment, and just begin to literally list out the things that you're thankful for, man. Then, I mean, it can be small, it can be huge, but to just list out things that you're thankful for, man, it's a fun exercise.
Yeah, I mean that's part of that kind of neural reprogramming, neuroplasticity. Like, you don't have to be stuck in whatever negative belief systems you're in. You don't have to be stuck in, greed or jealousy or envy or any of those things. Like, if you stop and start to notice and write down and pay attention to all the things you have to be grateful for, especially in relationships, because comfort, it's not comfort. I'll come back to that. But when you get used to somebody, you don't realize you stop being grateful for them because, oh, well, that's just so and so. I know them, so they're not like the new person that's all exciting. But if you would get up every morning, and that's one of those neuroplasticity exercises, one of those psychological exercises, the reprogramming exercises that they do is write down first thing you get up in the morning and before you go to bed at night, 10 things you're grateful from that day, for that day, 10 things you're excited about, and just having that attention on gratitude, having that attention on good things will start to reprogram your mind to be more grateful, to be more aware of all the good things in your life versus being so sucked into the negative, because we constantly are shown the negative. I mean, our news over here is all negative. A lot of the things that we're shown are about negativity. Your work is negative. You didn't do enough, or you met that goal. Now your goals changed. So now, the next goal is bigger because you got to do more. So it's never enough. And there's such a thing as, unconditional love that most of us are craving, because most of what we see, especially in the West, is not unconditional. It's all conditional, especially for men in the West. And I think not even just the West now, is becoming more worldwide with the advent of social media and all this manipulation that we're dealing with. But to be loved and be thought of and be, have somebody be grateful for you just for who you are, to be loved unconditionally or to be loved just because you exist, is something that most of us are craving. And if we can't necessarily find that for somebody else, we can start finding that for ourselves by being grateful for who we are and generating a gratitude practice to rewire our brains for gratitude so that we don't get stuck and sucked into all the negative vortexes, so we can stop and be present and go, I don't think I'm going to participate in that. Like, you want to go be negative, Nancy? Go ahead. I'm going to be over here on my little cloud, my unicorn, having a good old time.
Yeah, the guy that decides to self-cancel, the guy that decides to, check out on life, that moment, I've been in that dark night of the soul, and that moment and gratitude can exist in the same space. Meaning that when you put yourself in a place of gratitude, you're probably less likely to be severely depressed. You're probably less likely, to be just negative in life. You're probably less likely to be in a down state of mind or state of spirit. And just think of, like I said, just think about just the little things, what the big things, man. I mean, golly, I think back and this past year, man. This year, two granddaughters in the same year, my first two. I mean, it's like, man, I can't, I can't be down and depressed thinking about holding them just a few weeks ago, both of them at the same time, kind of thing. And getting to spend time, getting to see my favorite player's football jersey get retired. I could, just on and on, man. I'm just thankful for my friends, thankful for my wife. I'm thankful for, my kids, and just thankful for my mom, my brother, just life and health and all those kinds of things, man. I'm thankful for you, even though you get on my nerves sometimes,
Oh yeah, that's my job.
often. You have a gift for that.
Yeah.
I'm just thankful, man. I got good brothers in life. I needed some help moving a couch and rugs and all that kind of stuff couple of days ago, man. And our buddy Jeff came right over and boom, 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 had it like that, man. Just being thankful for stuff like that, man. It's hard to have a bad day, man, when you just sit back and it's like, wow, okay, it could be worse. Like it could be worse. I'm thankful for this past year.
Yeah, I mean, like anything else, this attitude of gratitude can be grown. Like any muscle, any skill, any habit, it can be grown. And familiarity may breed contempt. And if you're in a long-term relationship, you need to make it a practice and something that becomes a habit to be grateful for your partner, to be grateful for your family, to be grateful for what you have, because that familiarity breeding contempt is a real thing. You get used to somebody, and then all of a sudden, this girl that you lusted after all these years and chased after, who could do no wrong, suddenly her chewing's annoying, her breathing's annoying. Oh, well, that snore at night used to be so cute and dainty, and now you're like, I can't stand it. That's that familiarity breeding contempt. But if you fight that, if you decide to head it off at the pass with some gratitude, and every morning, every time she does something you love, every time she compliments you, every time she cooks you a meal, you be grateful for that. You don't become entitled to that. Know that if she wasn't cooking you a meal, she could be cooking somebody else's meal, if you know what I'm saying. And if you're not grateful to that meal, if you're not grateful for her effort, if you're not grateful for her love, it's going to go someplace else. Because the grass isn't greener on the other side of the fence; it's greener where you water it. And that water for us is gratitude, it's respect, it's love.
Yeah. Our world, man, our especially with like the news cycle and all that kind of. There's so much, they thrive off of negativity, man. All the political garbage we have in our culture, and if you watch the news, 90% of it is negative, if not all of it. Man, if you watch your news feed on your phone, it's just negative, man. It's so negative in this world. I mean, you'd almost think that there's nothing good happening in this world, and so we have to guard ourselves from all that negativity. We got to protect ourselves. We got to guard our heart from all the stuff that this world can try to force down our throats, man, in terms of perspective and outlook, and can make us think this and think that. And like I said, think we're not enough, and think we don't have enough, and think we're too much of this and not enough of that, and man, I wish I had more of this, or I wish I had less of that. And you could go on and on, man. Just, this world in our culture, our society, just keeping us spinning, not focusing on the important stuff, man, the stuff that is vital, man. And that's, those are the things that we take the time to be thankful for, man, our whole outlook would change. But we can get programmed, especially like I said, with the news and news cycle and all the garbage out there, just the toxicity, and it creates toxic people and toxic cultures. And man, it's up to us as men to kind of step in and be the thermostat and bring some positivity to the room whenever we walk in.
Yeah. And if you're a man like us who has been to the dark night of the soul, who has battled their shadows and demons, guide somebody else, because there's men who hit the holidays and are, I mean, on the edge. They're on the ledge. I mean, all they need is a stiff breeze and they're taking themselves out. They're jumping off the ledge. And for you guys who are on the ledge, it's time for you to face your devils, to face your shadows, face your demons, bring them into the fold, show some gratitude for those things, because most of that stuff is your inner child. Most of those demons and shadows you deal with, if it's alcoholism, drug addiction, porn addiction, whatever it is, comes from your inner child who didn't get the loving, who was traumatized. And if you are struggling, I highly suggest this book right here, Face the Devil in You, available on Amazon. It's a great place to start for you to start battling your own devil, turn that devil into a friend, turn that shadow into a friend, turn that shadow into a superpower, and stop fighting with yourself. Stop being negative towards yourself because you judge yourself. So many of us have been in that situation where we're soothing with alcohol or drugs. We're on the verge of swallowing a bullet because we haven't dealt with, come to terms with, or turn that shadow side or that devil within us into a superpower and into our best friend. And some of us just need a little bit more self-acceptance. That self-acceptance comes from digging into your past, digging into your inner child, re-raising that little boy inside you as men to become that superhero. That little boy in the Batman cape and the Superman cape that you wear as a little kid that got shoved into the closet because he was traumatized by dad being in a bad mood or mom being in a bad mood or whatever the case was, or physical abuse, maybe you come from an alcoholic household or something like that. That child's still there. And that child's holding on to your cape, holding on to your superpower. And if you want to generate gratitude, you want to generate thankfulness for yourself, heal that inner child and become the superpowered man that you can be. And then take that out into the world and help other men with that same process. Because I think nowadays, especially, if we're not doing shadow work and inner child work as men and as people, we're missing half of our strength or missing half of our foundation to become the people we could be and the people that we would naturally be grateful for being, to be present with ourselves, be like, you know what, I'm pretty cool. I kind of like myself today. Well, that path starts with doing that work.
Yeah, and I would absolutely say, man, um, in this season, the more we can take the time to stop, to slow down, to appreciate the things that we have, all the good and the things that we are thankful for, man, the better our worlds will be. Um, the more we can put all that in perspective, the more we can just appreciate what we have, because one day, we may not have it, and we don't know when the day in the future might come when we don't have something we didn't appreciate today. And that includes people. Be thankful for the people in your life, man. Thank people. Let people know. I had a buddy of mine I haven't seen in a couple of months, just because of schedules and all that kind of stuff. And I just texted him the other day and said, "Hey, man, I just realized I ain't seen you in a couple of months. Right? I used to see you every week." And man, I just want to let you know I missed you, kind of stuff. But just being thankful for people, thankful for opportunities, and just thankful to be alive, man. I mean, life is a gift. And so, in this time period, man, we need to focus on that.
Yeah. Be thankful. And if you're having a hard time being thankful, if you have a hard time slowing down, maybe you got too much on your plate. Maybe it's time to clean the plate, get present, hang out with people who love you, and just generate an attitude of gratitude. Water that plant. It'll bear fruit. And until next time, we are the Mad Men of Masculinity. We wish you a happy Thanksgiving, and we are out.